All right, back in the garage today. Got the Trans Am, the carport garage. We got the Trans Am back in here. We got some goodies back here. We got a dipstick tube, a Driveshaft, and this ain't working too good. Trying to look through the camera and point backwards, and a mount. So we're gonna start working on this. See if we can't get it back together. After doing some research and after you know, somebody posted on the dyno video for Austin's car, I'm coming to the conclusion that that GT45, it's like a 67 millimeter 6796. I think it's out of turbo, because we had that controller, we had it screwed all the way out. I mean, it's screwed all the way out, which is going to be the max boost for that thing. And yeah, I think that's as high as that goes. I looked online after the comment on the dyno video, and a lot of other people's had the same exact issue. That one had it in the mid RPM, it'd shoot up to 14 psi, and then once it started climbing RPM, it just dropped down to 11 or 12. So, but I'm gonna round up and say 600 horsepower. That ain't bad for, you know, just a LS1 with a sloppy stage 2 cam and a GT45 turbo. That ain't bad at all. My LT1 on a 200 shot only went to 620, but that was on a low reading dyno dynamics. A dyno dynamics dyno will read a lot lower than a Mustang dyno by far. But dynos are just used for a tuning tool. I mean, it's not really the numbers. They're like, I mean, you like to see those, but they're just numbers. The numbers you put up at the track, that's what really matters. But let's get this thing back up in the air. Christopher wanted me to measure the front end travel as I jacked it up. I forgot to do that last time. Forgot to do it when I jacked it up. Forgot to do it when I put it back down. So this time we're going to measure that so he knows what that is. It's got quite a bit of travel. It does. It's just, there's nothing fancy done to it except for, I forgot what all I done to it, honestly. We lowered the springs. I cut the springs to make them lower. And it's got different upper and lower bushings in it. I think that's it, man. It don't have no fancy stuff, but it's got quite a bit of travel for that. No preparation. All right, it's up in the air. Ta-da! Not easy to do, but in this carport garage. But having these boards in here help a lot. Them boards, man, them things are $70, $75 each. I got $225 worth of boards there. I need more. But yeah, I think I'm gonna check to see how good our new dipstick fits. The Turbo 350 dipstick, it wouldn't line up with the hole. I was under the impression that they were the same. Apparently they are not. Well, I put the new dipstick in. So this one has the rubber seal on it, so you don't use that rubber grommet that goes in the transmission like the ones, I don't know what I did with the rubber grommet, but on some dipsticks where it's smooth down here, you use the rubber grommet that goes inside the transmission. See, like this one, it's smooth down there, so that one used the rubber grommet. This one, it's bigger on the bottom, and then it's got that rubber seal, so you don't use the rubber grommet. But I had it almost all the way in, about right there, and this was already too low for the bolt, And not only that, but it was like 2 inches. So the transmission was at the end of my thumb, and this is way back here, and it's a little too low. If you try to bend these, you'll break the tube. I tell you what, quality control ain't what it used to be. So it's a couple days later. I ordered another dipstick. Yesterday I went and helped, well, I went and fixed my girlfriend's mother's car. It was misfiring, the brake fluid was low, and the coolant was low. But yeah, I fixed all that for her. But, you know, when I said that quality control sucks, you know, I was kind of thinking in the back of my head, Marshall, you probably ordered the wrong dipstick. And I did. So that's for the Buick Olds Pontiac. I can't believe I did that. Either way. I researched online and I found one with a locking dipstick. It was like 60 bucks. I thought about going with the braided kind that we put in Austin's car, because that cheap Amazon braided one, it's working good in his car. And the reason why is because that dipstick has to clear that hole in that shield. We put that shield on there. But I found one that looks like it's going to bolt to the very top passenger side bolt and go through that hole, because you're riding 1099 or faster, you're supposed to have, I believe it's 1099 or faster, you're supposed to have a locking dipstick. But that's not going to be here till tomorrow. So today we're going to test fit that drive shaft and see how it fits. So on that whole dipstick deal, I could have edited that out, pretended like it not happened. But yeah, I'm not going to do that. If I make mistakes, I'm going to show y'all. Alright, we got the Strange drive shaft. We're going to take it out here. Now, these people didn't mess around. We ordered this on like a Monday, and it was shipped that Friday. And I got it on a Monday. So it took like a week to make this drive shaft for us. And that's the whole thing. From the transmission yoke all the way back to the U-joint for the rear yoke. And there it is. Ain't that thing a thing of beauty? That's it. Wish I could weld like that. Let's stick it under here and see what it looks like. Now I went ahead and put the poly in there. There's this transmission mount. There's a rounded end on the back of it that goes towards the back of the car, and then there's this plate that goes above it, and you do have to use that plate. That's not a spacer. That helps hold everything together, but unfortunately that bolt hole is stripped out, so I'm gonna have to drill and tap that. Not a big deal. I just wanted to get that in there because I want to put the cross member up in there and get an idea of how high the transmission is going to be to see how good the drive shaft fits. And that's how that's going to go right there. I'm going to use a stock cross member. I'll just have to re-drill some holes. As you can see right there, that's where the 2 holes went. That's where they need to be. So just like over there, the bolts go through the top, and you just drill big holes down at the bottom so you can get in there, and a small hole at the top, just big enough for the bolts to go through. Now that gives us an idea of our transmission height. So let's stick this drive shaft in here and see what we got. So I'm having a hard time getting the drive shaft to go in. It seems like it's hitting that inner race right back here. So I'm going to take the housing off and then try to put it on the drive shaft and see how that does. So with the tail housing off, it slides all the way up on there. So definitely hitting something on the tail housing. So it's definitely hitting that bushing. Well, dummy me. Somehow managed to put the wrong bushing in there when I was rebuilding the transmission. But I got the right one in there now. And now everything is snug as a bug in a rug. Now, let's put this back on, see how it fits. And someone did a number on that hole. I don't even know how you manage that. Look, the threads are like completely gone. It looked like they started to do it on this side, but I could get this side to tighten up. Well, we'll retap it. Alright, so this was actually a metric size, believe it or not. But this 7/16 fits in there perfect. So I'm just going to retap it with 7/16 20. Because the parts store down the road has a bunch of these, because I just went and got 3 of them for the torque converter bolts. Oh yeah, and I made absolutely sure that the 7/16 20 would fit through our holes here, and it does, so we're all good. And voila, we got new threads. I went with 7/16 20. Should have went with a 7/16 like 16 or 14, because whatever the standard thread usually is, but you know what, the 20's a whole better. So I'll just go get 2 grade 8 7/16 by 20. I'm gonna get them an inch long. These are 3/4. I'm figuring I tapped them all the way through, and I did wind up having to drill it out some with a 3/8 drill bit, but yeah, comes about right there. And now if you figure, it's going to be out about that far with those 2 plates, about right there. So about a 1/4 inch longer. So I get 2 of them 1 inch long, and that'll do it for that. Now I'll get some lock washers for them also. Yeah, sweet. We gotta put this back in. More trouble than I thought I was going to have just test fitting the drive shaft, but here we are. Alright, stuck it up in there. It went while it was hanging down, clearing the drive shaft. I stuck it up in there, it went all the way up in there. So, let's try this again. And ta-da! This time my bolt's tightened up. Awesome. I'm gonna get longer bolts for that. I just got the torque converter bolts in there for now. We'll get longer, 1/4 inch longer bolts and a lock washer. But we're just trying to make sure our drive shaft fit. First, I need a dipstick before I can put all this back together. Alright, it went all the way up in there. I marked it with a marker right around the sill there, just because I want to know how much it comes out. But I can already tell looking at the other end, it's going to be perfect. I mean perfect. Strange don't mess around. They're awesome. But I'm going to go ahead and at least stick it up in there. And when I stick it up in there, when I pull it back into the seats, the U-joint into the seats of the yoke there, I should have about 1 inch pulled out. And look at that. I don't know how good y'all can see that or not. But that's about exactly 1 inch. Let me see. Where's my ruler? There's my ruler. Kind of hard to tell. That angle. Can't get a real good attack angle on it. I'm probably making y'all dizzy. It's almost an inch. Well, no. It's almost an inch. It ain't a full inch. I can't get a very good angle on it. Let's see if we can't zoom out. Man, it's right at an inch. Probably 7/8. Good enough. That's perfect. Strange don't mess around, man. They do a good job. And all you have to do when measuring a drive shaft, when you're getting the yoke and everything, you measure from, see that flat side where the U-joint's sitting? I mean, you want to get it in the middle. I measured it from the middle. So I turned it around. I turned it around to where it was perpendicular with the ground. And then I measured from the flat side where the U-clamp's going to bolt. And then you measure all the way up here, and I did it on the side. You measure to right there. And then you just measure how far the output shaft sticks out from here. And that's it. That's the only two measurements you need. And you tell them that, and you also need to know what series U-joint your carrier has in the back. That's a 1350, so that's a 1350 U-joint there, and then it's a 1350 U-joint there. Now we do have clear's good, and we're still about 6 inches from our drive shaft loop, so that's perfect. And it fits right in that hole. So that's going to be perfect. But I don't know why, but the transmission, his Turbo 350 was the same way. I'm going to loosen the motor mount bolts, and I'm going to try to shove it that way a little bit more before we drill our bolts. But we're kind of stuck right now because I can't really put nothing else on until I get the dipstick. Because the dipstick has to go on, then the shield has to go on after it. Just the way the shield is made with the groove for the transmission dipstick. So dipstick has to go on first, then that can go on, and I can't put the rest of the transmission bolts on until I put that on, and then yeah, then we can put the transmission lines on, the shifter cable, the overflow, blah blah blah. Probably gonna need some longer bolts for that, but yeah, looking good, looking good.